Hello guys, I hope this finds you all well, and just want to remind you to please take notes, do your reading in your book, and make sure you're studying and reviewing things, because the test will not just be on the reading, but it will also be over your note taking. Now, we talked about how Creon was not going to bury Polynices because Polynices had attacked his own city. And in doing that, that was an important Greek value that Creon believed he needed to uphold, was the integrity of the city, of the state, because he felt that in Polynices doing that he was ruining, he didn't deserve the right to be buried. However, the people thought that Creon was being very barbaric, that he had taken the rights away from the family to be buried, and that the corpse needed to be buried so it could rest. Because again, the Greeks really dealt a lot heavily with the superstitions and different things of that nature. And if that body was not buried, it would not rest. And if the body was decayed, then it would be not fit for the gods. The sentry appears comical in this part of the story of the play because he's very nervous. He wants to appear blameless and unwillingness to bring this bad news to Creon. He's very nervous because he's afraid of Creon. Creon is not rational anymore. He's gone from sounding very rational to being very irrational. So the sentry is actually afraid of him. Creon's initially calm reaction to this news actually makes them more nervous, because the fact he is such a dictator, a very evil man, a hurtful man, when he won't even allow his own family to bury their brother. The men were so anxious to accuse each other because of fear of Creon's wrath. Creon appears less calm and less rational now. The sentry again is presented with a hint of comedy, but you can't overdo the comedy because then it takes away from the tragedy aspect of the entire play. So they have to control the comedy somewhat in order to keep it in suit. The Choragus asks the question, can it be that the gods have done this? This question angers Creon because it implies that there's a higher authority than Creon, and that he may have actually been wrong in decreeing what he had done. Creon's language is harsh and very insulting, in contrast to his reasonableness of his opening speech. When we read it on page 501, number 16, I'll just read that real quickly. It says, stop. Remember at the beginning, he was very calm and poised. Now he's like furiously, he says, stop. Must you daubering wrecks go out of your heads entirely? The gods, intolerable. The gods favor this corpse? Why? How did he serve them? So he's starting to become very irrational with his thinking. His arrogance is starting to become very revealed, and he cannot imagine that this could be true because Polynices is disregarded Greek values. So how could Creon be so nasty? I'm also going to read this other section here. It says, no, from the very beginning, there have been those who have whispered together, stiff-necked anarchists, putting their heads together, scheming against me in alleys. These are the men, and they are bribed my own guard to do this thing. He's starting to become very paranoid. He feels that everyone is out for him. He feels that his own guard is being bribed. Creon has convinced himself that the sentries have been bribed, even though there's not even a slightest piece of evidence that says that. The sentries say, are you sure that it is the voice and not your conscience? Not your conscience, sorry. The sentry is very perceptive. He's not a fool. He's very smart. How dreadful is it when the right judge judges wrong? The sentry is willing to stand up to Creon. He has more courage than is indicated in his opening speeches. Creon will not listen to reason. So even though the sentry was very nervous, he still stood up firm to Creon. So take notes. We'll pick up with the ode tomorrow. And I hope everyone does well. Have a good night.